Hi, I'm Vanessa and I love bad Star Trek. I will be the rotor-rooter to the backed up septic tank that is season 1 of Star Trek's Next Generation. Today, I will be talking to you about an episode called Datalore, a portmanteau of data and lore, which doesn't really mean anything. I do wish they'd name other episodes in season 1 this way, like Sex Planet Flower Death or Dog Lizard Lasers. Laura is Data's brother that we get to meet in this episode. And he is, of course, a brother who looks exactly like him, a twin. And like all twins, he is evil. Not just evil, but evil. This episode makes absolutely sure that you know that Lore is bad. Originally, the premise was meant for Lore to be a love interest for Data, like a fembot. But Brent Spiner, the actor who plays Data, asked that they make it an evil twin thing instead. So he's playing both Data and Lore. I love Brent Spiner's acting, but this episode is a big glazed ham sandwich where the bread is also ham and the cheese, which there is plenty of, is also made of ham. And of course, once again, the original series has a history with this premise. On an episode called The Enemy Within, during a transporter accident, Captain Kirk splits in two. His twin is actually evil for a reason. And that reason is because it's Kirk's id, or unbridled impulsive self, uncoupled from Kirk's good side. Kirk has a reckoning with what his dark side is capable of, which is an interesting take, but because Yeoman Rand is assaulted in it, I do not feel comfortable watching it. That scene is way too much, and I do not like the implication that Captain Kirk has these feelings deep down. Thankfully, Datalore doesn't go there, but the plot doesn't even work within the framework of the evil twin trope. Before we even get there though, the one fun scene in this is when Data tries to sneeze convincingly.
Data! Chew!
When I sneeze, it's with such force that it feels like my eyes are about to pop out and the tendons in my neck strain. It's not cute. Can we all just sit with this scene for a second and grieve? Sneezing without restraint directly into a mirror. Maybe we'll have androids sneezing into public mirrors just to make things feel normal again post-COVID. Data trying this out is the very first scene, so it is all downhill from there. The things I think this episode struggle with the most is emotional motivation. People doing things that make sense with their character and also including relevant details. For example, they give us this odd detail that Data has stored in his hard drive the memories of 411 colonists. What purpose does this serve? I mean, like story-wise, it doesn't. The Enterprise D doesn't appear to be on a mission either. They're just in the neighborhood and have time to look into Data's origins, dropping by Data's home planet, where he was found just lying there 26 years ago. Tasha, who beamed down with him, asks a real dumbass question.
You were just lying out there in the open? No identity record? No instructions?
Oh, you mean you didn't come with an instruction manual? No, he didn't. He was covered with a layer of dust like an old VCR in the back of a Radio Shack. The planet, which was a human colony, is now empty of life. And conveniently, the underground secret lair is right there. Geordi just feels a wall and is like, "Yup, right here, boss." They also conveniently find the lab where Data was made, and they find some drawings on the wall.
Posted by proud parents.
What is it with this show and shitty drawings? And I love how perplexed they are by them. I am, but for different reasons. Who is standing there drawing from this perspective? When I see people running away and screaming in fear, I face them and make sure to get out my markers. This is a moment to remember. And right there, also very conveniently in this lab, is what looks like parts of Data's twin. And we learn that Data's dummy thick ass cheeks clap so loud that they announce him entering a room about 20 minutes before he does. Data picks up his twin's head, which is supposed to be, you know, a perfect duplicate of his own head, but it looks like a smooth version of him with eyebrows like Andy Rooney. So the crew beams this disassembled twin back and they put him back together. Riker, of course, has to ask the question,
does it appear to have all your parts?
He knows, and we know that he knows that if he had a twin, he would absolutely have sex with him. Oh wait, he does have a twin. And that relationship doesn't quite work out either. Lore wakes up and it's not exactly brotherly love. Lore smugly tells Data that he's a more perfect version, even though he fucks up a basic geometry question.
The square of a hypotenuse of the right triangle
is equal to the sum of the square of the other two. Something.
In fact, whenever Lore opens his mouth, anything he says sounds like a complete, total lie. Let me try it. Yeah, I'll open that door for you. The fish I caught was this big. Spiner makes sure that this character makes you feel uncomfortable, but he plays this hand too much. He needs like a mustache to twist whenever he opens his mouth. It's clear that Lore is very unhappy about being deactivated, disassembled by their creator, Dr. Noonien Soong, instead of Data. But it's not clear why he tries to convince you so hard that he is the antagonist of every conversation, of every scene. The worst scene in this for me is when Lore rubs in Data's face what he has and Data does not.
Haven't you noticed how easily I handle human speech? I use their contractions. For example, I say, can't. Or isn't.
Wow, speaking in contractions, Data needs some Neosporin for that epic burn. And then Lore brags about how well he can tell a joke.
I say tomato, and you say tomato. I say potato, and you say potato.
But he hasn't made anyone laugh. He doesn't make me laugh. Data makes me laugh all the time. I mean, sure, it's unintentional, but it works. And he strikes up a deal with Data after insulting him for wanting to be more human and mocking him about the contraction thing. So which is it, man? Do you like humans or smugly stand above them and say can't from the mountaintop? He was in pieces in a closet like 10 minutes ago. How about a thanks? Where is the high ground here, you know? Lore entices Data with downloading the memories of billions of people instead of just the 411. Does Data ask how this would ever happen? Does he have proof that he has access to this? No, Data just believes Lore, and in exchange, Lore gets access to the ship's schematics, which is very sensitive information.
Unless, of course, you need something more. I have more than I've dreamed possible, brother.
Lore has only proven himself to be untrustworthy from the moment he was activated. Data hasn't bonded with him at all. They hardly like each other, never mind trust each other. So why does this happen? Because Lore has a nefarious motive, an evil motive. During an evil twin episode, there's usually a point where one assumes the identity of the other in order to do what they want and tarnish the reputation of the good twin. So Lore tricks Data with some kind of champagne laced with a sedative, and he knows where Data's off switch is. So he turns him off and then puts Data in his clothes. He gives Data the facial tic that he has and removes it from himself. So immediately the audience knows it's Lore dressed up as Data, which I think ultimately ruins an already cliched episode. It would have been neat to keep us in the dark about who is who, at least for a little bit. I think that whole scene should have been cut. And on top of that, Lore has none of the mannerisms, none of the same physicality, none of the innocent curiosity that Data has. He doesn't really try that hard. Wesley picks up on it immediately, but of course is shut down by the captain.
Sir, I know this may finish me as an acting ensign, but—
Shut up, Wesley!
These words will echo in Will Wheaton's ears for the rest of his life. That's another frustrating thing. They go back to not respecting him as a bridge crew member. Remember, Picard fucking put him there. because he's a genius. But it doesn't take a genius to know that Lore is pretending to be Data. Lore uses a contraction and has the same smarmy and arrogant bearing, and I hate when someone refusing to listen is the only thing keeping a plot going. This exact same thing happened in an earlier episode where no one has gone before. You think they would have learned their lesson, but no. Using Lore's testimony and the drawings, the crew extrapolates what ended life on Data's planet. A crystalline entity. And that's the thing that Lore's in league with.
Beautiful, isn't it?
I recognize it, sir. It's the crystal image Laura described.
And his relationship is that he feeds it humans in exchange for what? Why does Lore do this? What does he get out of it? I personally have an alternative theory on this Lovecraftian feed the beast scenario. The drawings were actually of a planet destroying meth lab explosion, which is the origin story for this crystal creature. So Lore thinks of it as his baby, and so Lore continuously presents opportunities for Cristal to suckle at the teat of humanity. But no, it's just that Lore has a chip on his shoulder, wants to be a villain, and the crystalline entity is just how he does that. This episode is a cake left out in the rain. I don't think I can take it however long they took to bake it, and I dearly hope they never use this recipe again. Oh no. So, what's the resolution to this? After turning Data back on again, Wesley, Beverly, and Data walk in on Lore having a conversation with a crystalline entity, which sounds like an abstract noise and spoken word piece.
It's your old friend.
After calling Wesley little man 3 times, Lore demands that Beverly leave or else he'll phaser Wesley.
I give you your life, Doctor. Go. Quickly. And I may not injure your son at all.
What the hell does that accomplish? After some wrestling, they beam him out on the industrial-sized transporter that just happens to be there. And without Lore on board, the crystal entity just leaves. Why doesn't it stay and eat them? Not sure. Don't care. It's almost over. Picard comes in and berates Data for the switched out uniform and facial tic.
And get rid of that damn twitch and put on the correct uniform.
Yes, Captain.
Because who doesn't love to be yelled at for circumstances that are completely out of your control? And then it's just over. The evil brother is just floating in space somewhere. This episode ends as nonsensically as it started. Written in sort of a word salad, the Beverly thing made no sense. Why Lore was down by the industrial transporter to begin with makes no sense. The crystalline entity who just feeds off of humans just jettisoning away at the end makes no sense. What the hell did we learn? It's not a decently fun episode like the one I skipped for that very reason, the big goodbye. It's not a serious episode. It's not a melodrama. It wasn't suspenseful. I don't get what they were doing here. It's just awful. Would the gender and story change have made a difference? I don't know, man. I don't know. The next episode has more delightful outfits, which always tickles me. Till next time, I guess.